I played 100 days of Stardew Valley, but I used the Randomizer mod. Hello everybody, this is GamerGar. Welcome back to another 100 days Stardew Valley challenge. The goal for this video is simple, to complete as much of the game as possible. However, the Randomizer mod won't make it that simple for us, as the mod changes an absolute ton of in-game mechanics. Some of the changes include a lot of the recipes in the game now need entirely different materials to craft. Professions have been slightly randomized, where you are not guaranteed to learn specific recipes upon reaching certain profession levels. The cost of a lot of the crops you can purchase in Stardew Valley have now been dramatically randomized, as well as the resources needed for construction with Robin. NPC sprites have also been swapped around, and this will make for much more interesting gameplay, especially when it comes to locating and interacting with a lot of the Stardew Valley NPCs. They are just some of the changes that this randomization mod includes. There is, however, a huge array of changes that we just don't have time to cover in the intro, but we will find out exactly what these changes are as we delve into the video and get on with the challenge. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy 100 day style content such as this. I really do appreciate your effort, and thanks so much to all my channel members for your continued support. I really do appreciate it. It is day number 1 and we start by cutting down some trees, planted some crops, and we attempt to make our first chest of the challenge, only to find out that the chest requires stone and slime. This is a huge problem for us, as we can only get slime by day number 5 when we get access to the mines. This means it's going to be very challenging in order to keep items and also purchase new items when it comes to making game progression. Upon entering the shop, we notice that Mayor Lewis has now taken over from Pierre. Who knows, maybe Mayor Lewis will do a much better job. But tulips here are going for 6 gold. Prices of all crops have been randomized. Because the tulips were so cheap, I spent all my gold on tulips, getting a grand total of 94 ready to be planted. We noticed Leah here on the beach. Her sprite has swapped with Elliot, which is actually hilarious. And we also locate Haley taking pictures. She swapped with Pam. Oh look Haley, now your personality matches your looks. Because it was day number 1, it was time to explore Stardew Valley, and what I noticed here was there was wild plums on the ground. The problem here is that I wasn't getting spring forageables. I was getting fall forageables, and that's going to be a massive problem when it comes to using tea saplings later if you want to make tons of money. The next day is spent just primarily fishing, though because of the randomizer mod, the difficulty of certain fish has been randomized, so extremely deadly fish to catch could be extremely easy fish, vice versa. On the 3rd day it was raining skulls. Thankfully it was just a visual effect. The skulls didn't actually have any sort of physical effect on my character. Because it was raining we could still get the catfish, which was great. The difficulty of the catfish didn't seem to waver that much. It was back to pulling up forageables. Now I was actually getting a lot of fall forageables, but I needed a very high foraging skill to turn fall forageables into fall wild seeds, so it looks like at this rate tea saplings were not going to be on the table for us. We would have to use other in-game methods to make money. I dropped off a few artifacts at the museum, and then it was on to pick up the first batch of parsnips that we got for free on the first day. This gave me a level up in farming, which was nice. It was then time to water up the crops and get on with the rest of the day. Because it was day number 5, the mines were now open and the priority were slimes. The first enemy to encounter was actually a rock crab, which is fairly uncommon. I just needed some slime to make a chest, and I wanted that chest made as quickly as possible. Once I could put some chests down on the farm, I could start properly sorting items and freeing up my very limited inventory slots. It was time to go back to the farm, put down some chests and make some progression. But before that I hit level 10 in the mines and I picked up the leather boots. It looked like at this moment in time that the chest rewards were not randomized. I noticed the wizard wasn't in his tower. Instead, Sebastian has taken over the place. I never knew Sebastian to be a seeker of the arcane truths, but nothing surprises me anymore when it comes to this randomizer mod. I managed to pick up 2 of the 4 spring forageables, but there was no sign of dandelions or leeks to be found anywhere. Back into the mines, we are making some pretty good progression. We still had our rusty sword, but I wasn't too worried about that. We would get better weapons eventually. Any copper I come across I would stop and prioritize that, as I was pretty sure later on copper would be needed, especially for kegs. To level 20 we get to steal small sword, and the next day it is time to get our first massive batch of tulips. Now I wasn't getting huge money gains or XP from these tulips, because there was so many tulips I should get just about enough money where I can make some decent progression early in spring. By day 7 I had almost 13,000 gold, which was pretty good. Some of that money went towards a backpack upgrade so I can get more free inventory slots. I was considering spending the rest of my money on just tulips, but then I realised I wouldn't have enough time or energy or any sort of resources to plant them all in one day. Level 3 farming finally rewarded me with the scarecrow that I needed so desperately, as the crows were having a field day on all my lovely tulips. Some wood and mixed seeds were required to make a scarecrow. That wasn't too bad at all. It was time to get a coop, and the reason why I wanted to go down the route of a coop so early is because I just couldn't rely on crops or tea saplings. A sure-free way to make decent money, especially early in the game, is to stock up on chickens and use mayonnaise. I was then back to the mines, we're making some good progression, got down to the dark floors here, and it was raining skulls the next day. We were smelting bars. To make a furnace I needed copper, clay and wood. The challenge here was actually getting clay, and clay isn't something that you can get in huge abundance when it comes to early farming, unless you use clay farming, but we didn't want to cheat in this challenge. It was time to get Clint to break up with some geodes. You never know, there's always a chance you might get some clay off geodes. If not, we would get some decent museum rewards regardless. I was then back to pulling up some catfish. I got a dressed spinner here, and that was sell for a pretty nice 500 gold. Because we had some money left over, I decided to get some early upgrades done. Clint will upgrade my axe to a copper axe. It was then back to the community centre, and you guessed it, we won't be going the Joja route in this run. Instead, we're going to challenge ourselves and go the community centre route. We actually managed to complete the fall foraging bundle as the first foraging bundle for this challenge because of the randomizer mod, and that was actually quite interesting. I also purchased some chickens off Marnie. They were still only 800 gold a pop, so we could get loads of chickens no problem. Back to Clint, picked up my copper axe, but we're not finished there. We're going to go to Robin, and we are going to construct another building. This time we're going to go with the silo, so if we get rainy days it won't be the end of the world for our fabulous chickens. It was then back to pulling up more forageables from around the map. If I could make more fall seeds, I could potentially make a lot of tea saplings. I also picked up Robin's last axe, and I found where the wizard was hiding. It was in Sebastian's bedroom. The wizard was our new social quest. We were going to try and marry the wizard in this challenge and have tons of little wizard kids. I was back into the mines. I picked up the slingshot on floor 40. I also got down to floor 50 today, and I got the tundra boots. So as far as the randomizer mod goes, it didn't actually, to my current knowledge, randomize any of the chest rewards. Demetrius smelt the money and he visits us the next day. We're going to go with the Batcave because we're going the community centre route, and the Batcave does make life a little bit easier if we get lucky with pomegranates, apples and things like that. It was back to pulling up our tulips, and then it was off to the lovely Easter event when we were going to get some lovely strawberry seeds. So I had enough for the 120 strawberry seeds. I was hoping to sell the tulips, but then I remembered you can't sell items to event vendors, which was unfortunate. I then spent a great deal of time today hoeing up some of the grass to get hay for my chickens, and then we were going to pay the general store another visit just to get the last few items that we needed to complete some of the spring bundles, such as parsnips, beans and potatoes. Once those items were purchased, it was off to Clint to get more tool upgrades done. We were going to push the pickaxe this time to a copper pickaxe so we could make smoother progression in the mines. It was then up to the lake area where we were doing more fishing. The next day it was raining skulls again. It was time to check on our newly acquired chickens, and our chickens had now all fully grown up and they were laying eggs, which was great. These chickens would lay eggs every single day, and these eggs could be converted into mayonnaise for a pretty nice profit indeed. Once the chickens were tended to, it was then time to purchase some mayonnaise machines. Now in order to make these we needed stone, slime and amethysts. Thankfully I had enough amethysts to make 4 mayonnaise machines, but in order to make more we would have to delve back down into the mines, and hopefully with the luck of Yoba we'd be able to get more amethysts to make more lovely mayonnaise. As a rule of thumb, and because we didn't have our pickaxe, it just made sense to do more fishing today and get more catfish, because catfish are probably one of the most, if not the most profitable fish, apart from the legend, that you can get in spring. So if it was raining skulls, we were pulling up catfish. We then went back to the blacksmith Clint. We got our lovely copper pickaxe, but why stop there? We had the funds and we had the resources to upgrade our copper pickaxe to a steel pickaxe. We were working on Caroline for the tea saplings. Now we didn't have a whole lot of daffodils to give her, So I was just giving her other bits and bobs instead. It would mean that it would take much longer to get Carolyn up to 2 hearts to get those tea saplings, but I'm a very patient farmer and I knew we would get there eventually. Because I had the bronze axe, I can now take care of all of the small tree stumps on my farm, accumulating hardwood, which gives lots of foraging XP. And the more foraging XP we can get early on, the faster we can make tree fertilizers and grow giant tree farms for all sorts of future projects. It was time to give Penny a catfish because she asked for one on the bulletin board. As a reward, we were going to get a whopping 600 gold, and that was a really nice quest to get there off Penny. I then got my steel pickaxe back off Clint. It was time to make some good mine progression with that. It was Haley's birthday today, and I decided to give her a parsnip, and she was super happy with that. She had great time for me at the moment. Spoke to Haley again and she told me to go away. She had way too many caramel porters at the saloon last night. Oh, how far you've fallen, Haley. It was back into the mines. I managed to kill an elite black slime, and I got a magnet ring. That was actually a very nice upgrade at that moment in time. We were then into the middle section of the mines. We were getting some iron ores. I came across a mystery node here, but it only yielded a topaz. Down to floor 70, we get the master slingshot. That will come in handy later on in the challenge. And because I had so much money on me at the moment, I decided to get the last backpack upgrade, the deluxe pack. It was then off to Robin to get a coop upgrade. This time we're going to go with the big coop. It needed wood, stone and iron bars. Thankfully, I had plenty to spare. It was then finally time to get the tea saplings off Caroline. We finally pushed her to 2 hearts. But because of the way forageables worked now with the randomizer mod, we couldn't really bank on the tea saplings to make tons of money because we couldn't have giant foraging farms. I did fix the bridge to the tide pools though, and finished off the crab pot bundle, resulting in 3 lovely free crab pots. Having a look at the tea saplings, the recipe cost didn't change. 2 of any wild seed, 5 fibre and 5 wood. The challenge there is the mass accumulation of wild seeds. Randomizer makes that incredibly difficult. Not to worry though, if we get bits and bobs of wild seeds later on in the video, we can always make tea saplings then if we need quick bursts of cash. For now, we would have to play the game without utilising the overpowered tea saplings. Our first big batch of strawberries were ready to go. Because we didn't have tea saplings, the strawberries were going to save the day. We were going to get tons of money from selling all these lovely strawberries. I also got my first harvest of cauliflower as well, which was nice. It was then off to the pantry, and it was time to almost finish off the spring crops bundle. I was just waiting on that lovely green bean that we'll have ready to go in a few days. Back down into the mines, and we got very lucky there with a diamond. On floor 73 I was graced with a huge amount of iron, which was good to have. On floor 80 I picked up the firewalker boots, and on floor 82 we got super lucky with a mushroom floor. Lots of red mushrooms to be picked up. That's bonus forageables for us, and we could also sell the red mushrooms to make extra money. On floor 90 we picked up the obsidian edge. That was a massive weapon upgrade that we badly needed at this stage of the game. Level 6 farming awarded me with lots of cool recipes, but it did not give me the quality sprinklers, so I started to panic a little bit. Not to worry though, the next day I checked out my crafting recipes and I actually had the quality sprinkler there. To make it though, I needed 40 wood and 1 regular sprinkler. So to make a regular sprinkler, I needed wood and I also needed slime. All I can say for now is may Yoba bless those slimes, because I certainly wasn't. It was time for a slime massacre to make tons of sprinklers. It was back to Clint. We were going to get more tool upgrades. We're going for the steel axe so we can get access to lots more hardwood early on. It was then time to finish up all of the boiler room bundles. I had all of the mats acquired, and this would unlock the fast traveling for us around Stardew Valley, which is going to save us a ton of time. We also got some pretty nice rewards, including a furnace, and I really appreciated the furnace because they're much more difficult to make because of the randomizer mod. Down to floor 100 in the mines, I got my first star drop of the challenge. I was very happy about that. On floor 102 it was a double diamond floor. That was the first diamond, and just north was the second diamond. 150 XP for each one, plus 750 for each diamond. Bring on the XP, bring on the money. I noticed Vincent was in Jess's room today. Found that quite strange, but you know what? Maybe they just decided to swap kids because they were sick of him. You know how it goes with parenting, right? Back down into the mines, and I was on floor 112, and the goal here was just to get the skull key so we can start doing some nice skull cavern runs. On floor 20, I sure enough got this skull key. Nothing fishy there with the randomizer mod. We were now on the 24th and we were getting there with spring. Got some gold bars today beside to water up all these crops. I had a few sprinklers planted on the ground and I do plan on making a lot more once I get more slime. So it was time to go to the lovely flower dance today. Now I managed to get some daffodils and dandelions today just to have some spring forageables because you never know, I might get lots next season and I could make lots of tea saplings then. Also picked up the rare crow along with the tub of flowers recipe, and then we had this hilarious scene. We had Elliot trying to dance, but you know he was doing his best pulling it off. Leah was having a great time, totally in the wrong cue. We had Linus and he was looking absolutely awesome there with Penny, and then we finally had a lovely father and daughter relationship. The wizard and Abigail, just look at them go. I also noticed Pierre with Marnie and I thought something felt a bit suspicious there with that as well. So I went back to Clint today, picked up my steel axe. I can now get into the secret woods and start farming some hardwood, which was great. Went up to Marnie to get some supplies, but we're also going to get some animals. This time because we had the coop upgraded, I was going to get some ducks instead of chickens. Duck mayonnaise is quite profitable and it also means that I have a lot more variety when it comes to completing community centre bundles and other challenges. Into the secret woods I was getting chanterelles and other goodies. I was also getting the lovely hardwood stumps which would give me 25 XP a pop and lots of hardwood. It was then time to pick up the next and last batch of strawberries along with a huge amount of chicken eggs, and all these will be converted into mayonnaise. That's going to be a nice money boost right there. It was then off to the pantry and we're going to donate that green bean, getting us 20 speaker in the process. I had just about enough money to unlock all of the vault bundles. This means I can now access the desert and do Skull Cavern runs, and I can even get into Sandy's shop as well, get all the goodies she has to offer. The crystallarium there as a reward is always worth it. That can be generating jades for staircases for future Skull Cavern runs. It was then back to fishing because I wanted to get money so I could have a good start of the summer. I wanted lots of money to purchase lots of crops. That night the Junimos did their magic and fixed up the bus. The next day it was straight back to fishing again to get even more money. And when we were done with all the fishing, it was then time to prepare for a Skull Cavern run before we hit summer. So I spent a good deal of time pulling up tons of fish today. I got 105 XP for that bream because I got a perfect catch plus a treasure chest. I also purchased an iridium rod off Willy here along with a trap bobber because we were going to go for the legend. I did so much fishing in spring I actually managed to get level 10 in fishing so I could take a crack at the legend. The legend actually wasn't that difficult at all, nowhere near the difficulty of the glacier fish in my opinion, and for that I was going to get 11,250 gold. It was then back into Alex here instead of Gus. They did a switcheroo and it was time to buy some salads. Those salads will come super handy in the Skull Cavern. Now I attempted a Skull Cavern run today, it did not go well. I literally only made it down 3 or 4 levels and then I had to call it because luck was just not on my side. I didn't have bombs and I just didn't have the resources to do a decent run at all. But we will go back into Skull Cavern soon enough. So I started getting dandelions today in summer, which wasn't very favourable for us, and I was also getting daffodils as well. Thank you very much, Randomizer mod. So if this season is anything like spring, what it just means is that we can't mass produce tea saplings. I could however purchase one of each of the summer crops no problem, and we're going to go with hops for summer because they were 62 gold a pop, and once the hops fully grow we can harvest them every single day, and pale ale is absolutely nothing to be snuffed at. It is an amazing money maker. Not as good as starfruit, but I wanted to change things up in this challenge instead of going the usual starfruit route all the time. So we are going to be going the hops route in this challenge, and we are going to be making thousands of pale ales. Now in order for us to make pale ales we needed hundreds and hundreds of kegs. It was time to make some tree farms. It was also time to clear out the farm, get rid of all the debris, collect all the resources and plant some acorns. Once I hit foraging skill level 7, I will learn the tree fertilizer, and that will exponentially increase the growth rate of all our trees. I was also picking up wild horseradishes too, and all I needed now were leeks and I could actually make some tea saplings no problem at all. It was then back to the secret woods and we were farming hardwood stumps. All of the hardwood will come in super handy later on, especially if you want to get to Ginger Island. I also had a crack at the legendary crimson fish today. He wasn't too hard, and for the rest of the day we spent just fishing up super cucumbers and other bits and bobs. Super cucumbers are absolutely amazing when it comes to selling and also eating. It was then time to get the first harvest of duck eggs. They'll come in super handy for maydays for profits and also the duck egg for the animal bundle. I then decided to move my coop down to an area here where there was tons of grass. Reason for this was that the chickens weren't going that far to eat the grass, and that was costing me money. And it was also making the chickens disgruntled, so sometimes they wouldn't lay eggs. I also got Robin to build a barn because we were going to get some cows, and the more variety of animals I had, I felt the more advantages I would have, especially if the randomizer decides to turn around next season and do something really weird that could jeopardize how well I could do on this challenge. So it was no harm getting a huge different types of animals that would generate all different kinds of items for me. In order to make bombs, I needed gold ores and sap. That is actually very difficult because even if you go to Skull Cavern, I find that iron ores are much more common than gold ores, so it might turn out that we just have to buy bombs off the dwarf instead of trying to make the bombs. I finally got the recipe for 3 fertilizers, and they just needed stone and fibre, which was the same as per usual, so that was really good. It was then time to fertilize all of our lovely acorns, and it was straight back to Skull Cavern for a rematch. And this run, we did so much better than the last because we came down slightly more prepared. We had a lot more healables, we had a lot more bombs, and we had a lot more luck on our side. We got nice rewards, lots of iridium ores and other goodies that we can sell to make even more money. So this time it was time to look at how to make tappers, and the cost of tappers was slightly different. We needed wood and refined quartz. Thankfully I had tons of fire quartz there to turn into refined quartz, and then it finally happened. I picked up my first leek of the challenge and I was so excited because now I could complete another community center bundle. A tasty relative of the onion, the leek. It was time to go into the crafts room, complete the spring foraging bundle, and as a reward I would get 30 free spring wild seeds. Now because we were summer I couldn't plant these in the ground and exploit them, but I could turn them into tea saplings and sell those for a couple of K in the pocket. I also completed the construction bundle as well, got a charcoal kiln. So I had enough resources there to make 15 tea saplings, and that wasn't too bad. That's 7,500 gold ready to go for tomorrow. So I was super happy with that. It was then back to putting up more fish, super cucumbers all the way. They're just so profitable. I also got 10,000 gold from Mr. Key the next day for making a passport 25 in the Skull Cavern. I also collected some iridium bars, and then it was off to Marnie to purchase some cows for our newly built barn, so things were looking up. It was also time to complete the exotic foraging bundle because I managed to grab the coconut and the cactus fruit while I was out in the desert. It was then time to finish off the artisan bundle thanks to our lovely bat cave, and also thanks to the mummies for dropping cloth for me inside Skull Cavern. The reward was a cake. I was super happy there. It was then back to Robin, and this time we were going to get a deluxe coop. The requirements were slightly more expensive, almost 22,000 gold, wood, stone and 5 iron bars. We had those resources easy enough though, so that wasn't a huge challenge at all. It was back down into the regular mines, and I was farming gold ores for bombs because I really wanted to do another Skull Cavern run. I was also farming fibre and other bits and pieces as well. I made 60 tappers today, enough to tap up all of our lovely oak trees so we can start getting some nice oak resins, so when the time comes to transfer the hops into lovely pale ales, we would have the resources to do so. It was time to upgrade our pickaxe to a gold pickaxe, and I decided to incubate a dinosaur egg because I managed to pick one up in the Skull Cavern, just so we have that dinosaur mayonnaise ready to go if we get far later on in the challenge. I fished up a Dorota today. That is by far the rarest fish in summer. It took me so long to get it. So long. I also got the sturgeon the next day. I need that for the luau to get the best results. I fished up a few of those too because I will need caviar later on for the challenge as well. I also pulled up the wood skip because I am aiming to capture every fish in the game so I can get that nice star drop off Willy later on. Got my gold pickaxe back off Clint, but we weren't finished there. This time we were going to give him our axe to upgrade to a gold axe. It was then time to go to the luau, and I added the sturgeon to the soup. That yielded the best result from the governor, and that's going to get me lots of friendship points with a lot of the Stardew Valley NPCs. It was finally time to harvest the first batch of crops, and there was so many crops to harvest. I know there's probably way better ways that I can set up these trellises, but when it comes to trellises I am a total noob. Trellises are my weakness, so this is the best I could do in terms of a first or second attempt of using trellises. But all these hops are super profitable The pale ale that you get from hops is just absolutely amazing. We are going to make hundreds of thousands of gold from converting those hops into pale ale and then selling the pale ale. Went down to the mines to collect the fish that I needed for the fishing collection. Started with the ghost fish, then I managed to get the ice pip, slightly more challenging but not impossible. It was then down to floor 100 to get the difficult lava eel. The great thing about gold star lava eels with the right fishing perks, sell for over 1500 gold. Lava eel fishing is actually a very nice way to make money. It was then time to make kegs, and I was slapped in the face by the randomizer mod. These kegs required wood, sap and fish. No oak resins to be seen, hence the tree farm I made was a total waste of time and energy. So when I wanted to make hundreds of kegs, I would need hundreds of fish. To make a crab pot I needed a gold bar and 10 void essence. I mean, it just wasn't happening. I could not mass produce crab pots. There's no way I could farm hundreds of void essence every single day unless I had a very unique setup, which I did not have. I was forced to purchase crab pots off Willy so I could make kegs, so I could get those lovely pale ales. There was no other choice, I'm afraid. Eventually we can go the road of Monster Musk with a really good offensive build to try to get void essences that way, but for now we would just have to stick to Willy. We're also working on the wizard here, trying to get his friendship points up because we wanted to marry the wizard and have lovely magical kids. It was then time to finish off the summer crops bundle. The reward, a quality sprinkler, thank you very much. It was back to Robin, constructing more structures. This time though, I wanted to get a shed because I just wanted some nice order to my farm, somewhere I could store my lovely cakes. I got my gold axe off Clint, I was super happy there. I had 23,000 gold ready to go. I decided to upgrade the watering can, just to make life a little bit easier for me when we get into fall. It was back down to the beach, and Vincent was having a great time pointing up and down. I accidentally gave Jess some bait. She wasn't impressed, but I thought to myself, you know what, maybe Linus wouldn't mind if I gave him bait. He would surely use it or maybe eat it himself. He wasn't impressed either. He said he just don't get it. But you know what, I don't get people going through trash cans every night either, Linus, or maybe I do. It was then time to get all that oak resin. I would end up just selling that oak resin because I couldn't really use it for anything else. I did very well in the back cave though, got some oranges, they make for a nice gift for someone. I also got the last apple I needed to complete the fodder bundle, resulting in a lovely new reward, the heater. That will come in handy in winter to keep our animals nice and warm. I finally had enough resources to make 36 kegs. It wasn't enough by a long shot to keep on top of the amount of hops that we were going to get on a daily basis, but it was a start. Level 10 farming, of course, we would select artisan, then it was back to Robin, and it was time to get some wood. I needed hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of wood to make a lot more kegs. Once all of the kegs have been placed, it was time to just sit and wait for the money to roll in. Now hops aren't anything like starfruit. Hops require much less time in a keg to give you back an artisan good. Now of course starfruit is much more profitable. Starfruit is very, very difficult to beat, but you know what? Pale ale is absolutely nothing to be snuffed at. The next day I got the owl statue, super lucky there. I'm going to put that up for good luck. And it was time to get our first batch of pale ales. On average we can get a full batch of pale ales every day and a half, and one pale ale would sell for 420 gold. One hop sells for only 27 gold. That is a huge, huge profit margin right there. Because I made so many kegs, I didn't have enough space in my small shed, so I put some more kegs just left at the bus stop. 72,240 gold, ready to go. We now had 85,000 gold. I also checked out the travelling cart merchant today. I got super lucky. The red cabbage seed was ready to go. It took 9 days to grow. I had just about enough time to grow it, but just to make sure I would get that red cabbage before summer was out, I put down a deluxe speed grow with it as well. It was time for more upgrades with Clint. This time we're going to go with the steel watering can. Then it was back to Robin to get another structure upgrade. We're going to go with the big shed this time, and it was just 550 wood, 300 stone, the usual story there. It was then back to Cindersap Forest, and our mission was wood so we could make more kegs, so we were just cutting down all of the trees that we saw, having exhausted most of the trees on our farm. It was then back to converting hops into pale ale, and you will see a lot of this because it doesn't take that long for hops to turn into pale ale. So the oak resins weren't doing me much good, so I decided to just get rid of my lovely tree farm here and take the wood instead to turn into kegs. It was then off to Marnie and I was going to purchase some rabbits. Now I wanted rabbits for two reasons. The first was the rabbits' feet that they drop. Amazing loved gifts. And the second, they can drop wool. I could turn that into cloth later on if I wanted to make some special clothes. So my dinosaur finally hatched. That would be future dinosaur mayonnaise off him, no problem. Then we were converting iridium ores into iridium bars. Now I did a little bit of a mistake here. Whatever way I put down my shed, I was blocking off some of my furnaces. So I would have to move those furnaces eventually, maybe into the mines to give myself more space to smelt ores. I made 22 more kegs today. I had lots of fish from the crab pots, so I could make a lot more kegs, put them into my large shed. The more kegs I could make, the more money I would make, because I was getting so many hops every single day. I had thousands and thousands of hops ready to be converted into lovely alcohol. It was then back to Robin to purchase more wood, and I also upgraded my barn to a big barn so I can get a much bigger variety of animals. It was then back to my shed and I was converting hops into pale ale. Then it was back to Clint to get my steel watering can, but I wasn't finished there. Because I had so many iridium bars and because I had the money, I decided to take the iridium pickaxe. That means I can one-shot the nodes in future Skull Cavern runs. My pale ale was a talk of the town. Alex here / Gus saying, hey, so I picked up a pale ale at the store last night. Grandma met her special casserole. A quest from Sebastian the wizard. He wanted an iron bar. I of course will oblige because this lovely wizard here will be thankful, and the more friendship points I can accumulate, the faster I can get married, the faster I can have magical wizard kids. 5 hearts out of 8, we were making good progress, and even the wizard was talking about my lovely pale ale that I sold to the general store. It was then back to the desert, fished up a scorpion carp and a sandfish for the fishing collection. I also needed the sandfish though for the speciality fishing bundle, so that was a must. I was taking a nice warm cozy stroll through Cinesap Forest today. I noticed Vincent acting a bit weird. He kept pointing upwards and I thought to myself, maybe, just maybe, there's a secret behind the trees, but no, he was just counting. I then met Sebastian, the wizard / wizard number 2, and it seemed that he was enjoying the lovely arcane energies all around the wizarding tower. I was then back to cutting down trees, getting more wood to make more kegs. We also back to Clint today for the usual iridium pickaxe. That was one of the best pickaxe we could get in the game. Why stop there though? We had the bars, we had the money. It was time to upgrade our axe to an iridium axe. It was then off to Robin to construct more buildings. This time though, we were going to go with the deluxe barn. That means we could get pigs. So the barn was very expensive, especially the 65 hardwood. That hurt, but not to worry. We're going to plant loads of mahogany seeds down here now, and the hardwood will come in super handy off these later on. But that's not the only reason we're planting mahogany seeds. You'll find out in a few days why I'm planting so many. Back down to the Skull Cavern, it was an absolutely magnificent run. Got a crystallarium, got some prismatic shards, got some great progress down here altogether, and I got so much iridium ore that it'll probably do me for the rest of the challenge when it comes to tool upgrades. Speaking of upgrades, it was finally time to upgrade our weapon to one of the best weapons you can get, pre-Ginger Island of course, and that was the Galaxy Sword. And because we now had the Galaxy Sword, we could easily beat most of the enemies the game had to offer. Back into the mines today just to smelt some iridium ores into bars, and then it was the processing of yet more hops into pale ales. Bring on the money. It was then time to purchase an absolute ton of wheat seeds because you guessed it, come fall, our primary money-making crop will be wheat. It was time to purchase a wizard couch. I wanted to spice up my house a little because soon enough I was going to get married, and when the wizard moved into my house, I wanted it to feel very arcane for the wizard, in the hopes that he would be inclined to have kids with myself. It was then time to do more fishing. I got the octopus finally. I needed that before fall, just so I could complete all of the fishing collection. I was very happy to get that. I had the pufferfish as well. That completed the speciality fishing bundle. There was just a few fish left to actually complete. There was the eel that I needed to get, and there was also the walleye. It was the last day of summer, and this was going to be the very last harvest of hops that we were going to get. Once all of the hops were harvested, it took me the whole day to get rid of all the trellises and to replace them with wheat, because I didn't want to have to re-hoe the ground come fall. Having the steel watering can did help out in terms of getting everything watered before the day came to an end, and I got it done just by the skin of my teeth. Our house was now upgraded. It was slightly larger, so I had a lot more room to do stuff. It also had a cooker, so I could cook some items as well for community centre bundles. It was then time to visit the general store, and I was going to sell all the paydays to start with, and I got the achievement there, millionaire, so we're the first of fall now, and we've already made over 1 million gold, so we're not doing too bad, especially if you look at the fact that we didn't use starfruit. I'm also going to purchase some corn here, some pumpkins, and I'm also going to get eggplant and a yam for the community centre bundles as well. The reason why I got 50 pumpkins is because I needed at least 5 gold star pumpkins to complete the quality crops bundle. Also got my iridium axe off Clint, thank you very much Clint. For the rest of the day it was just spent planting crops on the farm, prepping it for a very interesting season indeed. I also made the Mackie roll, that was quite easy to make. Along with the fried egg, I had tons of eggs on me from the chickens, so the fried egg posed no challenge either, and they were also for community centre bundles. Because we were now in fall, we could now take on the lovely community quests. The first one we're going to go with is Robin's Resource Rush. We just needed to acquire 1000 pieces of stone. Now there's very easy ways you can do this. If you have a deconstructor, you can just deconstruct staircases. We didn't have the luxury of deconstructors, so we would have to do it the old-fashioned way. But first, it was time to make more mayonnaise and complete more community centre bundles. I had the pomegranate and I also had the rabbit's foot. That was the enchantress bundle complete, 5 gold bars as a reward. Look at all of this lovely mayonnaise we get to collect today. This is going to sell for tons of money. I also got the tiger trout, super happy there, and I also picked up the sea cucumber because I needed that for the fishing collection. Tiger trout was needed for a fishing bundle. Once the tiger trout was submitted, that was the riverfish bundle done, 30 bait as a reward. All that was left was the night fishing bundle. I just needed an eel and a walleye for that one, so I needed it to rain to get those fish. I also completed the animal bundle. The reward was a cheese press, very nice indeed, because we will be making lots of cheese in this challenge. And all I needed now for the quality crops bundle was just the gold star corn and the gold star pumpkins, which we will have in time. It was time to work on the wizard a bit more. This time we had him on 6 out of 8 hearts. And on the 4th of fall, it was time to get our first batch of wheat. And all of this wheat will be converted into beer. We are going to be beer farmers in fall, and we are going to make tons of money from selling beer down the road. It was time to go back to Robin, and this time we wanted to make another shed because we needed a lot more cakes, because beer is something that gets processed very quickly in this game. Just over the day it will take for a wheat to turn into a beer. So we are going to have to come into these sheds almost every single day and harvest the hundreds if not thousands of beer that we will be making. It was now time to put tappers on these mahogany trees, and what they're going to give back, believe it or not, is sap. And the reason why I needed so much sap is because I needed to make a lot more kegs, and the material requirement in this challenge for kegs was sap, unfortunately. It was then time to get the ball rolling with Robin's Resource Rush. The best way to do this, in my opinion, is to just go down through the mines as you normally would, but if you see the big stone chunks, break them open because they give 10 stone per chunk. Also, if you see the grey rocks, you get a good few stone from those as well. So as we can see, I am getting lots of sap off these lovely mahogany tappers, and they generate sap every single day, and you get loads of sap this way, and we needed thousands of sap to keep up with the keg production. We also went to Robin, got the shed upgraded, and it was time to convert even more hops into pale ale, but these hops that we had wouldn't last forever. Because the conversion would happen so fast, we would be running out of hops in just a few short days, and then it would be onto wheat processing into beer. I also purchased a few pigs today because I didn't want to bank on the travelling cart merchant to bring up a truffle. I wanted to guarantee my chances of completing the community centre, so I just purchased a few pigs because I could afford it. I was extremely rich at the moment with over 625,000 gold. Getting the sap every day off the mahogany tappers was just so nice. I was also given the wizard hair / Sebastian rabbit's feet every time my rabbits were kind enough to sever their limbs. So I finally learnt the stone chest recipe. Thankfully it was just stone needed to make that, so making chests was now slightly easier. Because I had the wizard friendship maxed out, I'm going to get the bouquet so we could get the ball rolling with marriage eventually. The wizard of course would accept. It was now becoming a reality where we get to finally move in with a wizard. Every 4 days we would have to do the life-draining task of harvesting all this wheat and replanting it back down. It was just so tedious. But you know what? It is a fantastic moneymaker. And here we have a nice scene with the wizard / Sebastian just looking out over the dark horizon. I also fished up an eel today, which I needed for the fishing collection and also for the community centre bundle. So we're going to take Robin's project today. 80 hardwood is needed, that'll be easy enough to get. And we also fished up the walleye as well. We now had all the fish needed to finally complete the fish tank. So after donating the walleye and the eel, the reward is a small glow ring, but the big reward for the fish tank will be the pan, so we can now pan up stuff if we so wish. The next day it was time to have a crack at the legendary fall fish, the angler, probably one of the easiest fish to catch in the game. It was sent back to Clint, but this time not to upgrade tools, but to process geodes. And the reason why we wanted to process these geodes is because I wanted to get down into the sewers to make some game progression. I also got Robin to upgrade my house yet again, because I wanted to make my house a little bit bigger, so when the wizard moved in, he'd feel right at home. It was then back to farming all of the tree stumps in the secret woods to get hardwood for Robin's quest. We also needed tons of hardwood for future projects as well. The next day Gunther visited me and he was very happy with all the minerals and artifacts I was donating. He gave me the key to the sewers. We could now go down and visit Krobus and access these rare and exotic goods. We have officially run out of hops to put into these kegs. We were now putting wheat into these kegs, getting back bear. And as you can see, the profit margins are still quite good, where we're getting 280 gold for every single bear that we sell, and it's super easy to make bear in this game. Speaking of bears, the pigs that I purchased weren't actually pigs, they were bears. As long as I could find truffles, I didn't care what they were. They could be three-headed ponies for all I care. Speaking of which, if you made it this far into the video, just put into the comments, three-headed pony, and ask me any question you like. I will try my best to reply. And if you have gotten this far, thanks so much for being invested in my videos. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, just to remind you to hit that subscribe button, it really helps me out. Back to the game, I just fished up the mutant carp. That is another legendary fish added to our fishing collection, and it is back to scything away all of the wheat on our farm. You know, the great thing about scything away all this wheat is the sheer amount of hay that we're getting along the way. We don't even have to think about purchasing hay off Marnie to keep our animals fed. We had huge amounts of hay ready to go. It was then back to our lovely big shed. Look at all the bear we were getting. We also got our gold watering can off Clint. Why stop there though? It was time to finalise the upgrades and upgrade that watering can to an iridium watering can. Speaking of iridium, we're going to smelt more ores into iridium bars and we can sell those for a decent profit as well. We're also going to get the last house upgrade off Robin, which will give us access to the casks that we need in order to complete the missing bundle later on in the challenge. Today was raining, so I petted all my animals and I was still working on the wizard here, giving him more gifts to get him up to 10 hearts so we can get married. And I'll say it again, have lovely magical wizard kids. It was back to harvesting even more bear. Now I purchased a wine off the travelling cart merchant today because now I didn't even have to think about getting wine any other way from the kegs because they were all being used up when it comes to beer, and I could just put that wine into a cask to get a silver star wine for the missing bundle later on. It was back to the secret woods and we were cutting down more tree stumps to get even more hardwood for Robin's quest. The next day it was time for the first batch of pumpkins. I just needed one regular pumpkin and 5 gold star pumpkins and we got that no problem at all. That was another bundle almost completed. Just needed the 5 gold star corn, which we should have soon enough. I did complete the fall crops bundle though. As a reward I got the bee house. Then it was back down to the wizard, give him another rabbit's foot. God bless my poor rabbits. And the wizard still wasn't fully satisfied. He was still 9 out of 10 hearts. We were processing milk now into cheese and we were also processing eggs into mayonnaise. And the day finally came where we could get all of the corn. I just needed 5 gold star corns and that more or less done it right there. I also put the wine into a cask. The house was now fully upgraded. We're also going to put some cheese into the casks here as well because iridium cheese not only sells for a great profit, but it's also amazing to eat because it gives you tons of health and energy. We got first place at the Stardew Valley Fair. I gambled my star tokens again, but luck was not on my side. Because I had tons of money, I just purchased the star tokens instead to get the star drop, the rare crow and other bits and bobs that the Stardew Valley Fair merchant had on offer today. I just didn't want to spend time pulling up fish to get more star tokens and then gambling those. It was back to Robin to construct, this time, a fish pond because I needed to get caviar and the only way to get that without using the travelling cart is to make a fish pond and put a sturgeon inside. Pierre was having a nervous breakdown at the moment. I think it finally got to him. Caroline was in fact in love with Mayor Lewis. Sorry, Pierre. It was back to do another community centre quest. This time we're going to pick up fragments of the past and try to get 100 pieces of bone for Gunther himself. It was then back to the farm and we were sighting up more wheat, ready to be turned into lovely bear. Speaking of which, these bears have finally found some truffles for me. I was so happy. That is not a community centre bundle we could now complete. The chef's bundle was now done. The reward was some pink cakes, and we're also going to complete the quality crops bundle as well. The reward was a preserve jar, which will come in super handy for that caviar later on. That was 2 rooms now completed, with just 1 room remaining inside the community centre. We're also going to unlock the greenhouse, which is going to be super interesting as well. We also picked up our iridium watering can from Clint. That was most of our tools now fully upgraded, except of course for the trash can. And the hoe, which we're going to upgrade right now, and that's going to be a copper hoe in the next few days. So it was Marnie's birthday today, give her a rabbit's foot. But I wasn't just being a nice farmer, I was being a nosy farmer. I wanted to find out what exactly was going on between Marnie and Pierre. I did to Marnie's bedroom. I noticed some lucky purple shorts. It says return it to Lewis. But I wasn't going to return it to Lewis, instead I was going to give it to Pierre, and look what happened. You found them, where? Hey, I have no idea how they could have got there, so there's definitely something going on here between Pierre and Marnie, the same way that there's something going on between Caroline and Mayor Lewis. What is just going on in Stardew Valley at the moment? So because the greenhouse is fully upgraded, the starfruit seeds were only 6 gold more than what they normally are. That wasn't too bad, especially considering the profit margins you get for starfruit wine. So I went ahead and purchased a full stack of starfruit, and that will be used with the greenhouse all of the time. Now I didn't have my trusty hoe on me to hoe up the ground, not to worry though, I had bombs that I could use to get the job done instead. So I had mega bombs just to hoe out the huge segments, and then the smaller bombs to get the little squares that the bigger bombs didn't pick up. Then I put down the sprinklers, followed by the starfruit seeds, and then I had my iridium watering can to water up all the crops. Then I put down deluxe speed grow, and that's going to dramatically increase the growth rate of these lovely starfruit so that I can pick them up every couple of days. It was then back to my big shed to get even more beers, and all of this lovely alcohol was going to make me tons of money. It was then time to get the last pieces of sap. After that I decided that I had enough sap, enough kegs were made, it was time to cut on all the mahogany trees. I finally had the wizard 10 out of 10 hearts, we can now get married, and the next day was also a rainy day. Hurrah for me. Put the sturgeon into the fishing pond, that will generate a sturgeon roe eventually, and that can be preserved into a caviar. Went back to Clint, got my copper hoe. I was going to give the hoe straight back in and upgrade that to a steel hoe. It was then time to get the lovely mermaid's pendant off of the old mariner here. It was finally time to ask the wizard to marry us. We could move in together and have magical kids. Yes. But before that, we had to scythe away all of our wheat yet again, and we had to farm even more beer to sell. Also back into the barn here too, we're converting milk back into cheese, and it's back to Clint again to get our steel hoe, and that'll be put straight back in and upgraded to a gold hoe. Now the reason why I'm upgrading all the tools now is that if we get to Ginger Island around in the challenge, with all the upgraded tools, it'll be much easier to transverse. I'm also getting Robin to build another silo, and I'm also going to purchase all of the flooring recipes as well, just to add more customization to my farm. I also purchased the furniture catalogue and the plasma TV. I also purchased the regular catalogue from the general store as well, along with one of each sapling. Now I didn't actually need to purchase the plasma TV because that comes included in the big furniture catalogue that I got off Robin, but it's good to know for future runs. I then purchased the monster fireplace off Krobus along with the sign of the vessel, just to make my house a bit more arcane-y. And here we have it. This is what me and the wizard are going to live in, and hopefully our future magical wizard kids. Each room had lots of really cool decorations and accessories to make any wizard feel like home. It was then time for another community quest. I picked up the curious substance, whereas Modius here wanted an ectoplasm. I took a magic rock candy because I had horrible luck today and I needed all the luck I could get in order for one of these ghosts to drop an ectoplasm. Lo and behold, after a couple of ghost kills, I got lucky enough where one of the ghosts didn't manage to drop one. It did take quite some time, but it was worth it because this is going to get me a really cool reward. which is going to be the little mini obelisks that can transport you from one end of the farm to the other. Once I gave that to Sebastian here, the new magical wizard, he gave me 2,500 gold, but more importantly, he'll give me a cool recipe later on. It was also time to get ready for the wedding. I made 2 suits, one using a bouquet and the other using a rare disc. Both suits were slightly different. One was a navy suit, the other one was a top suit. So I decided to go for just a regular suit top, and it finally happened. I got married to a magical wizard. It was now time to focus on this wizard with everything I had and try to get some magical babies. It was then back to Robin. We were going to construct even more structures to make our farm look nice and pretty and of course functional. We're going to go with yet another silo because fall was coming to an end and I wanted to accumulate as much hay as possible before we got into winter. I gave Clint my hoe again to upgrade that to an iridium hoe, and I gave our lovely wizard husband a good kiss and a prismatic shard to get his friendship levels up. The next day it was finally time for the last harvest of all our wheat. I also picked up the sweet gemberry that we were growing all season, and that can be traded in for a star drop just inside the secret woods here at this shrine. That was another star drop added to the collection. There was still a few more star drops to get though. We were now ending fall, and before winter kicked in I wanted to harvest as much grass as possible to accumulate tons of hay so I wouldn't have to buy any for winter. I got my iridium hoe back off Clint. That's all of the tools now except the trash can fully upgraded. I had 3 silos ready to go, so I filled that silo right up to the top. I had 720 pieces of hay. I was now fully sorted in terms of food for my lovely animals come the winter season. I also picked up the sturgeon roe, and that can be put into a preserve jar now to get caviar, which we need for the upcoming missing bundle so we can get access to the theatre. And the theatre is a great way to get friendship points with all of the Stardew Valley NPCs. I then went into the tunnel here to collect even more beer. And it finally happened. The starfruit could be collected. This would all be turned into lovely starfruit wine. I also tried to plant as I collected the starfruit to save myself some time. It was now time for the lovely Halloween event. I purchased the rare crow. I also got some recipes and the funky rug that I think would make for a great addition over back at home. I also picked up the golden pumpkin, and we will give that to my lovely husband as well to increase friendship points even further. The next day was the usual harvesting of beer, and it was back to Robin then to make some house renovations. I got her to expand the house, and the great thing about this is that she expands the house for free. You can add 2 rooms onto the house, no charge whatsoever. I also got her to make a stables. She needed 2 iridium bars. Normally you don't need iridium to make the stables, but I had iridium bars to burn. We were now in the first of winter, and I wanted to complete the community centre as quickly as possible, so I started hoeing up the beach here to get the snow yam that I needed. I also needed the crocus as well, and we do end up picking that up. So in terms of forageables, it looks like that come winter, the randomizer didn't do anything weird. We were getting all the usual winter forageables. We also got the magnifying glass off Krobus there, so we can now find hidden notes all over Stardew Valley and beyond. So that was the final bundle completed, the winter foraging bundle. That was the quarry unlocked and the community centre finished. Speaking of unlocking the quarry, we can now go into the quarry cave and get the goodies within. Before we did that though, we had to keep on top of our lovely bear production. It was time to collect all of our bear and start pulling up more of the winter fish. So we almost had all of the fishing collection done. We just had to get the squid, the lingcod, and a few other bits and bobs that you can only get in winter to get that collection finished. Here is a cool cutscene here of the community centre, fully complete. Vincent is having a great time up there in the top right, pointing his finger up and down. Well done, Vincent. It was then time to get the hardest fish in the game, in my opinion. I took a dish of the sea to increase my fishing skill. It was then time to fight the glacier fish. Now I'm going to show the full attempt with this one. I sped it up 3x just to show you how long this fight actually dragged on for. This glacier fish just literally spun from one end of the meter to the other. It was just so hard to catch. But we got there eventually, and that was another fish added to the collection. I also got the dark talisman here in the mutant bug lair. Fished up the void salmon as well as a void mayonnaise. I'm going to give the void mayonnaise to the henchman just so I can get access to the magical ink so I can access the wizard's magical terminal, and we need that magical terminal if we want to make advanced structures such as the warp obelisks and the Junima huts and other bits and bobs. I also got access to the shrine that allows me to change my character's features. That's also a very interesting piece. So I had my Silver Star wine, I had my caviar, and because I made it rain, I could now access the hidden bundle inside the Joja Mart. And the bundle can be quite challenging if you haven't prepared for it. Thankfully, we have prepared for it and we had all mats on us to complete that bundle no problem at all, including the dinosaur mayonnaise, the whitefish and all the other bits and bobs that we collected throughout our journey. It was finally time to fix up Willie's boat to get access to Ginger Island, and the mat requirements were the same. It was 5 battery packs, 5 iridium bars and 200 hardwood to fix up Willie's boat. We then got a star drop of our lovely, magical wizard husband. That was one more star drop in the bag. I decided to purchase some movie tickets today and I wanted to cheer my husband up. So we are going to give the wizard here 1 ticket, another ticket for me, and we're going to go see a movie together. The best thing to get the wizard here now / Sebastian is a jasmine tea. He absolutely loves that. He doesn't however love the miracle at Corstar Ranch. He hated that, so it kind of evened itself out. I pulled up the slime jack today, that was needed for the fishing collection. And before we went to bed, we got a cool scene here of Willie and Robin working together to fix up the boat for Ginger Island. The next day, I visited the quarry cave, and I managed to round up all of the skulls in one fell swoop and kill them all. There is a chance they can drop magic rock candies, but it is extremely rare. I did however get the golden scythe. Once that was obtained, I could then warp on out of here and continue on with our lovely randomized quest. Over on Ginger Island, it was time to get some golden walnuts. I needed to get enough golden walnuts to access the beach area so I could fish up some stingrays. They were needed for the fishing collection if I wanted to get a star drop off Willie for catching every fish in the game. I did however upgrade my house here on Ginger Island so I could use it as a checkpoint, and I put up a lionfish here as well. I also got the blue discus earlier. All that was needed now over on Ginger Island was the stingray. The next day I went and did a volcano run. I purchased a couple of recipes here from the dwarf, especially the ginger ale. That is so overpowered because it gives you a luck increase. You can replace the coffee buff. Got some more golden walnuts inside the volcano. I got 1 from each chest, which was really nice. You also get golden walnuts from killing enemies, mining open ores, and other bits and bobs around the volcano. I enchanted my sword with the least favourite enchant that I wanted, which was Haymaker. I just didn't need Haymaker at all. It was then time to do the winter fishing event, and there was some very strange shenanigans going on here. We had double Haleys. We had 1 Haley playing in the water, another Haley cheering on the Haley playing in the water, and then we had 2 Leahs. We had 1 dancing in the water and the other one dancing beside her. I thought this was just absolutely hilarious, just watching Leah go. But you know what? Sometimes it is great fun to just jump in puddles of water and dance your heart out. I of course won the fishing event, got the sailor's cap and the other goodies. Then it was time to get all of our lovely winter forageables, and we would make more winter wild seeds and put them back into the ground. It was then time to convert some starfruit into starfruit wine. That was going to sell for an absolute ton of money. I then went back to the theatre and I decided to take on the lovely theatre minigame, the crane game, to get loads of little Junimo plushies. I put these inside the baby room just to kind of send some signals to my husband that I wanted kids, and I wanted them now. I wanted magical wizard kids. 340,000 gold from starfruit wine. I had enough money to get 1 big obelisk, so I could have got the desert obelisk or 2 regular obelisks. I went with 2 regular obelisks. I went with the earth obelisk and I went with the beach obelisk. I also went to the Shrine of Illusions here, paid 500 gold, and I changed my character from a male to a female in the hopes that my partner might be more encouraged to have kids with me, because as far as I was concerned, he wasn't going to adopt them. It was then back to Ginger Island to get more golden walnuts, and there was golden walnuts hidden all over the place here, and because I found a few secret journals, I was able to get a few secret golden walnuts as well, just about enough to upgrade the beach area and get access to the last Ginger Island area I needed to pull up the stingray. After a couple of fishing attempts, I managed to get a stingray bite, and it wasn't too hard to pull that up out of the water. The pearl I got was converted into a bridal veil. I now had the full bridal dress ready to go. Could I entice my partner to have kids with me? Let's find out. But I wasn't going back to the farm just yet. I decided to go into the bathhouse and give myself a nice bath so I could smell nice and fresh for my partner when I got back to the farm. I sat down at the lovely seat here just outside of the bathhouse to put on some makeup. I was now ready to go. I felt fresh, I felt good, I felt confident. Let's see what happens. Absolutely nothing. The next day, I got a comment here saying I was mumbling in my sleep. The wizard said I seemed scared, but I have to admit it was kinda cute. I tried to kiss the wizard, but he turned away from me. It just wasn't working out. I decided to take out my frustration on some helpless slimes here in the volcano dungeon. Jehovah bless their souls. I was fuming with anger at the moment that my husband would not have kids with me, so we were going to spend the whole day in the volcano dungeon massacring enemies. I did however want to enchant my rod with the master enchant to get +1 skill on fishing because I really wanted to get the iridium crobus, but unfortunately I just didn't get lucky enough. I managed to get auto hook and efficient, but I wanted master. Didn't have enough resources to go for another attempt. It was then time to cut down some trees to try to increase my foraging skill. I wanted to see if I could get that to 10 before the challenge was finished. There was only a few days left in the challenge though, so I also spent some time with mega bombs here, just blowing away all the resources in the quarry to get stone, copper and other bits and bobs. I was thinking about doing a project in the quarry, but because it was a 100-day challenge, there just wasn't enough time to do that. I went with biome balance here now and I just needed to get some ocean fish, 20 in total, so I spent a whole day pulling up ocean fish to make Demetrius happy. Maybe Demetrius can give me some nice kids. They won't be magical kids, but you can be sure they'd be super smart scientist kids. I got some nice rewards from killing the floaty skulls, including an aquamarine ring, critical strike chance plus 10%. That night I went for a game of darts, and you can actually play darts up to 3 times. Each time the minigame gets harder because you get less darts to score 301 points, but you do get 3 golden walnuts from doing the game. It was then time to collect more starfruit wine, and this is going to get me a ton of money. Then it was on to the submarine event to get the last 3 fish I needed. So I needed the blobfish, the spookfish and the midnight squid, and that was the entirety of the fishing collection completed. Before I went back to the farm, I decided to purchase a painting of the famous Lupini, the Red Eagle painting, and I also changed the bed in the hopes that my partner might want me to have kids, but alas, it just wasn't going to happen. Instead, a meteor hit my farm, broke it open for the iridium ores, got a starfruit off Willie for catching all the fish because Willie doesn't have any kids, so he passed the starfruit on to me. Then something clicked. What if I married Willie? He would surely have kids with me. And there you have it folks, that is 100 days using the Randomizer mod. Thanks again for watching, I do really appreciate you. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, it really helps me out, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Make sure to check out my other 100-day videos. I have tons of 100-day videos on this channel, so just visit my channel page, click on videos, and you will see a huge array of different type of 100-day videos for you to watch and enjoy.